the WNBA draft lottery was yesterday. The Dallas Wings have won back-to-back number one picks.
Yeah.
They got Paige Bueckers last year. Now they have a chance again to potentially take another great UConn guard, or maybe they can go international with Awa Fam. I feel like those are the two choices. But truly, I do believe that, like, I want to make the caveat that everything that we talk about today is very much a rough draft. There are very, very intriguing players in this draft. I think that because of free agency, because of the expansion draft, there are so many unknowns that teams are going into the draft with. All that stuff will be shaken out. And that, to me, that it will be really when we know what things look like. I also think some of the players that we're going to talk about, they really, like, I feel like their opportunity to make their mark and answer some of the questions that we have about them won't really come until March. But the lottery was yesterday, and I think it's a great opportunity to talk about some of the top picks and how they might fit best.
Yeah, no, I am excited that this draft. I feel like if you go through like the history of WNBA drafts, there isn't a ton where it's like you have a true like argument to be made about who should be the number one pick, especially like three legit arguments. Even though I think Azzi and Awa Fam are probably like a tier above in that argument for that number one pick, but to actually have an opportunity to debate the WNBA draft, it doesn't come very often, it feels like. So I'm extremely excited for this draft, as long as we have a league. That's, the number one asterisk, because I don't know, the CBA, that's a whole nother thing. Like there's so many different like question marks right now, but it felt nice to like have generally speaking, a night of WNBA news where it was like, you know what, we can just take this for what it is to a degree. We at least know the draft order. We have one thing set in stone for the WNBA and absolutely nothing else, but we have this. Yeah,
will we have a 2026 season? Will we have a 2026? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Maybe
Nobody
not.
knows.
Maybe not.
So for me, the top two would actually be Olivia Miles and Awa Fam. However, because Dallas already has their generational point guard, I feel like their choice is really between Azzi and Awa. But that's also because I feel like the space between Olivia Miles and Azzi Fudd to me is not like, it's not a wide gap.
Interesting.
Yeah, to me, and we'll get into that. Sure. Let's get into that part a little bit later. We'll talk when we talk about like where they might be going. But between Azzi and Fam, I feel like the Wings actually are faced with a fascinating and good problem to have when it comes to the choice between two visions here. Like, they could go with Azzi. Obviously, there's a connection with Paige. I truly don't even think that like should or will play that much of a factor.
Yeah,
I think Azzi just like on her own, the things that she's doing this year, averaging 20 points per game, ridiculous, like superhuman shooting splits, some of the clutch shooting against Michigan, going toe to toe with Silas Swords, who was like basically like the second coming of Caitlin Clark for like 6
ridiculous,
minutes.
Yeah.
That was absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely
ridiculous. Honestly, man, some of the play calls that Kim Barnes-Arico had to get Sila open, and then her also like that second shot where they ran the same play again. Getting like, I think like they gave it to Olsen, and then like it was kind of a decoy. They get it to Sila. Then the second one, she like goes like pump fake lefty step back. I was like, come on.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I see who you're channeling. You're not slick. But anyway, but Azzi also like, she went shot for shot with her. We've seen her in these huge moments too. She had an excellent Final Four. So you could, pair her with Paige Bueckers and basically kind of do the WNBA version of the Splash Brothers. Bring back Haley Jones, who I think is such a perfect fit for a team that has two guards like that, and kind of go like, be on the vanguard of taking the WNBA to like the next step in its modernization. I think Jose Fernandez would definitely be somebody who's a fan of that. Their new coach. Like I watched some of like their Sweet 16 game against Tennessee. They play fast. Like, they play really, really fast, Like, as I didn't really know much about him, right? So I wanted to go back and kind of look at some of the stuff that they did. But the way that he could get both of those players open, the way that you could use kind of a DHO rover like Haley Jones, who, I think was really important to making Enrique kind of find her place You know, she was really like the glue of that, kind of in that Draymond Green sort of role. I think like I see her being back in Dallas. I really feel like she found a fit in a home there after kind of like having a lot of different stops in the WNBA. So that's option one, and that's obviously very exciting, right? And then you have Fam, 19 years old, playing against grown women in Spain and looking like the best player on the court, man. Right? Yeah.
She's incredible. She's like, it's like a. She's a specimen. Like it's like she looks grown as hell. Like and she's again like this is not college. Like and while college especially, I mean like is such a barometer for us here stateside and everything. But like she's playing against professionals, and it's different with like EuroLeague in terms of like the minutes that you play and how things are like kind of distributed in that. So like the stats aren't like the most insane stats you've ever seen. Like if you're going like box score for box score, like Azzi has the more impressive stats with the shooting splits and that nature. But goodness gracious, like you just see a player that is immediately impacting stuff at such a young age against professionals. And it's exciting to be Dallas, but man, I almost don't envy it either. Cause this is I don't want to be the team. I was thinking about this. And I'm like, between Dallas, Minnesota, and Seattle, any of like these top three that you have here of Betts, Fam, and Fudd, any of those three go into any of those teams, you can make the argument that it like makes sense. Like you can, like it's not hard to decipher that. Being Dallas and being the team that has to go and choose that first player, if you end up with the player that has the ceiling that ends up being the lowest, that's not going to feel good at all. Like I do not envy Dallas in this position whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I have like some serious questions about bets, but again, something we can get to a little bit later on. Yeah, we can have that conversation. But like, I think with it, what you get with Awa, and I think like the thing that is so impressive to me about her is how much polish she has at her age. Like I've seen her do like the Kobe shoulder shake shimmy fade away. I've seen her like with the dream shake. The footwork is immaculate. She does not travel. She's a good screener. She runs the floor with power and force. She's a good finisher with both hands. We're already starting to see her shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And her form looks really good. Like the touch, the fluidity, all of it is there. Elbows tucked, high arc, not a lot of extraneous movements. Doesn't really seem to need to, jump very high to generate a lot of power. And the shot is going in. But honestly, I feel like the thing that really, really shines to me is the passing. And the processing ability. Like those two kind of go hand in hand. But some of the passes that I've seen her make are just absolutely ridiculous. Like that to me might be actually her best skill, which is weird to say considering all the other things that she is already good at, like some of like the, just to be able to roll incredibly hard off these dribble handoffs and picks and like immediately hit the corner shooter in the pocket. I actually think some of that stuff might even be better in the WNBA when she's playing with players who see the game. Yeah. Right. Like who see the game as quickly as she does. Right. And it's like this interesting, like we talked about sort of, like Azzi and Paige, they push the game to the future. Right.
Sure.
I think Fam is kind of in this interesting, she's like this bridge. She almost reminds me a little bit of Kevin Garnett in a way where, she has all the stuff that you need to have to be able to like traditionally dominate in what we now consider like that 4 or 5 position that's still so important in the WNBA. She's been compared to Asia Wilson, with definitely people kind of like, I feel like their guts get a little bit nervous when they made that comparison. But also if you watch the tape, like there's an eerie similarity in their size, their movements, and also like they're kind of like having the 4 or 5 fundamentally sound things that they're really, really good at. But she's also got the other things that can help, like she could potentially have the things that, help her thrive in the modern WNBA as well. Like she can switch 1 to 5. Like we've seen her do it. I don't know, maybe if that translates as well into the WNBA, but it's certainly something that she likes to do in Europe, right?
Yeah, it's to me like I in going to get my top tier basketball analysis on x.com. When I see people talking about it, like people like there's like this idea that she's not like ready to jump into the W. And I just don't agree with that. Like, I just like, is there going to be growing pains and stuff? Sure. I mean, 100%, like absolutely. But this idea that like, this is going to be like a long wait to have Fam be productive in the W is just not something I subscribe to. Like it's there. And again, like it's if you're looking at like the box score, it's not like the most flashy box score because the minutes in EuroLeague and everything, it's just different in terms of the way that's handled and whatnot. You go and put her next to Paige Bueckers. I mean, it's crazy that we're already kind of having like this dialogue again after we had Dominic Malonga last year. Like, because it feels like we're kind of having similar conversations in that way of like, it's different players.
She's
but just
farther
in the sense
along
of,
than Malonga was at this juncture of the year.
Exactly. And I think with that, but even with like the Asia comp, like I think sometimes like when people make comps to Asia Wilson, like there's a degree of this took time to get here. And if you told me that you think Awa Fam is further along than Asia Wilson was at that time, I don't think
Wilson was coming off the bench at South Carolina at this stage.
So like that's where I'm like not to say that like, oh, she's got to go be better than Asia Wilson. I'm not saying that, but it's like when you look at like, okay, who's ready now? Like I think you can get immediate production while still having a lot of runway for growth if you go and make the decision to pick Fam.
I agree. I think she's high floor, high ceiling. I also just don't think that, those things should really factor into your decision making here if you're Dallas. Like, I understand that with Paige, there's a lot of pressure to win right away. Jose Fernandez, who, I really enjoyed his opening press conference. I just think that he is going to be a quote machine this coming season,
ready.
but I think he wants to. Yeah, right? It's going to be fun.
I'm excited.
It's going to be fun. He wants to make the playoffs, right? Yeah. Like, I think that this team wants to make the playoffs. At the same time, excuse me, if you look at the history of number one picks back to back, right? The teams that nail those win titles, right? Like Sue Bird, Lauren Jackson. And then again with Seattle, Breanna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd. Asia Wilson, Jackie Young. The Fever with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are on that trajectory, right? So this is a monumental decision for Dallas. And I don't think that these short-term factors should play any role at all. Now, I think Fam can come into the WNBA and be reasonably successful in her first year. At the same time, if Dallas doesn't necessarily think that's the case, I don't even care. Like, I don't care that Awa Fam is coming in. I don't care if it's Azzi Fudd. I don't care that Enrique's on the team or that you have guards in Isaiah James and JJ Coonerly. Like, these are not the factors that should matter. It should really just straight up come down to what's your vision? Who do you think is going to be the best player to execute it? If they think it's Azzi, nothing else matters. If they think it's Awa, nothing else matters. Like, that's just because they're both incredible fits. And I think they both will be able to contribute pretty quickly. But yeah, like these are big picture, long-term decisions.